I was thinking it'd be fun, like.
I was reading it when I got home for a minute. The Giants had offered him 12 years, 310.
No, they did not.
I'm so glad they didn't sign him.
12, 310. I'm surprised he didn't take that.
I thought, California, where he's from,
Yeah, I know.
closer to Nevada.
Or taxes. Well, no, Philly's got it, or Pennsylvania's got it.
I don't know.
I know. I thought he was going to want to go to the West. If the Dodgers or Giants stepped up, I thought
That's what I thought too.
That's like on the record. Like
I don't
Sabian
know.
said
It was
that?
just I don't know that Sabian said it or not. It was the beat writer.
Yeah, I don't know their names, but
Dang, what's his name?
we go get him. A little potent, huh?
Fruits of her labor.
I will let her know, and she'll be really happy.
Loves the bake too.
I know.
Sorry, I had to put my tie on.
You're good.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is a regular meeting of the Clearlake City Council and Redevelopment Successor Agency held at our Clearlake City Hall Council Chambers at 14050 Olympic Drive in Clearlake, California. Madam Clerk, if you do a roll call.
Councilmember Overton. Here. Councilmember Harris.
Here.
Councilmember Slutin.
Present.
Vice Mayor Kramer.
Here.
Mayor Bennett.
Here. If you would stand for Pledge of Allegiance, Mr. Lambert, if you would lead us, please.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you would remain standing, please. We have Pastor Charles Young for an invocation.
Lord Jesus, we thank you for this beautiful community that you've given us, and we thank you for these people that we've elected to run the business of the city. Lord, we just pray that your spirit be upon them and help them to make decisions that are best for our community. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. And Mr. Jones, is there any announcement of action from closed session?
Mr. Mayor, there's no announcement yet, but I do want to announce that closed session will resume after this meeting, and at the end of that closed session, I will come out and report any action if there is any at that time.
Thank you very much. Is there any changes to the agenda, or do we wish to adopt it as presented?
I think we'll go with what we got, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. And we have a couple of presentations I want to make. And I'd like the entire council to come down for this, please. The other day I was on Facebook and I saw our Lower Lake cheering team, Lower Lake High School. And, oops, there you go. And I hadn't seen any of the other cheerleaders. This was held in Las Vegas, I believe. And I thought, man, if that doesn't take a prize, I don't know what will. And then I went down a couple more panels on Facebook and saw all these young ladies sitting there waiting for the announcement. And by God, they got it. So if you young ladies would please come forward to here. And you're part of this crew, young man? Come on up, I'm sorry. Oh, and their coach. Come on up, coach. Okay. So I want to tell you, we are all so proud of each and every one of you. Your routine, if you haven't seen it, it is on YouTube.
Well, we actually have it and we'll play it.
We'll play it. Okay, it is awesome. I tell you what, it's a lot different than they were in my day. But I want to present this certificate of resignation to the Lower Lake High School cheerleading team in recognition of achieving first place in the JAMS National Cheerleading and Dance Competition National Championship. Your hard work and dedication to accomplish this distinction brings deserved pride to your community, your school, and yourselves. It is therefore with great honor that the Mayor and City Council of the City of Clearlake are pleased to present this certificate of recognition dated this 28th day of February 2019, signed by myself as mayor. Who would like to accept this? Come on, you gotta have a captain. Anybody wish to say anything? Oh, come on. No, you're not that quiet.
I'll say something real quick. So I'm the B team, Andy's not here, but I can tell you a little bit about how hard they work. So this is arguably me. I played football my whole entire life up through high school, and that was the hardest sport that I knew, right? Until I got involved with competition too. It is incredibly hard. Their season, they get 1 week off. Their last competition is gonna be in April. They get a week off, and then they go straight to open gym. They work before school, they're in the weight room for an hour to 2 weights. Then they go to school, then we have 3-hour practice, 5, sometimes 6 days a week. So a lot of effort goes into this. So the culmination of this first place was about 10 months, almost 11 months of hard work. They beat nearly 30 schools that were there on the national stage. They did as good as I've ever seen them do. They keep a 3.0 or above GPA. They were just awarded Scholar Athlete Team by the CIF. They do a lot in the community. They cheer for basketball, cheer for football. They compete, they practice. They're in every civic event, and they also keep 3.0. And then we're not funded, so when we're not doing all those things, we're out trying to raise money. It takes a lot of money to get these kids to Las Vegas and back, but it's 100% community funded. So thanks to everybody in this room, thank you to the community, because without everybody in this town, we don't get there. So that's my unprepared speech.
Video, but before we do that, can I get 2 rows, 1 row of sitting, 1 row of kneeling, and then the council behind them, so I can get some pictures? Yeah. How about Joyce, if we move you over here, you're a little bit shorter. There we go. There we go. Got it. Excellent. Ready? Perfect.
Now let's look at that video.
This is actually the wrong year.
Oh, no.
Allie's in this one.
Hey, my daughter won it that year.
We just continue. This is just an example. Yeah,
How good they can do.
this is. The kids knew. The kids might have known.
I'm not sure. I thought he got off the Facebook.
Is it the wrong year? No.
Do you have this year? Are you able to find that? All right. Well, that's an example. Why don't we go to the other video that you have?
Well done. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Too bad the coach couldn't be there.
Nicole Cook? Come on down. we are all aware of CC4C and everything they do for our community. One of the faces of CC4C is Nicole. I tell you, she must be out there 24 hours a day. 364 days a week. She has to have one day off with her child. There you go, New Year's. So with great honor, I present to her the Certificate of Appreciation to Nicole Cook, City of Clear Lake volunteer, presented for your extraordinary service and dedication. The City Council of the City of Clear Lake extends a thank you in honor of your many devoted hours unselfishly given to our city, dated this 28th of February 2019 and signed by me.
That's Molly. That's Molly. Are you going to share?
Then we have a presentation of Clear Lake Chamber of Commerce's annual report. Patrick?
Yeah, you're supposed to address us.
Okay. My name is Patrick Prather. I am the manager of the Clear Lake Chamber of Commerce, and this is our annual report for the City of Clear Lake. So I'd like to start by just reading our mission statement. The mission of the Clear Lake Chamber of Commerce is to provide leadership, engage local businesses for the advancement of economic vitality and the quality of life for all of Lake County. I'd like to introduce our executive committee. If you're here, if you could stand and be recognized. Our president, Denise Lustelo from Big O Tires. Our vice president, Russell Purdock from Adventist Health. And myself as the manager and the secretary. Our treasurer, Jamie Yates. And our past president, Joe Bennett. I'd also like to introduce our directors, Clay Godbout, Greg Folsom, city manager, Rebecca Southwick from Community First Credit Union, John Jensen from Lake County News, Stephanie Coddling as an individual member, and Steve Gibson from Foods Etc. This slide here shows our members broken down by geographic location. You can see as 64% of the members come from Clear Lake. It kind of shows that you just grow where you're planted. And we will extend into those other areas. I'd also like to take a minute to just recognize our volunteers. We have 3 volunteers. They have served for over 1,000 hours just in the last year. Our volunteers are the front line in serving our members and entire community by providing vital information and referring to visiting tourists. Volunteers also serve additional hours when the chamber gets busy with events, mixers, and meetings. Volunteers are also responsible for updating tourism materials and member information in our office. All volunteers are current and active CTA members, which affords the visitors with the best customer service and knowledge of the local history. And I'd like to recognize Jim Schultz. He is one of our volunteers. Our collaborative marketing efforts, Lake County News, they have an advertisement that they run for us consistently on their website. Their chamber events, mixers, ribbon cuttings, and press releases are running timely. And Record B News publishes press releases for ribbon cuttings and events. And a chamber newsletter that's emailed regularly by the staff. And if any of you are not on my mailing list, please just get on my website and you can reach me through there, and I'll add your email address if you don't already get it. We have an event bulletin board on the front of the chamber building. We have a web and social media presence. We have a website, that's our website there, and our Facebook page and Twitter with regular postings. This is our visitors, kind of broken down by month, how many visitors the chamber sees on a monthly basis. As you can see, from June through August is our peak months, and then you can see October and December also with events like Oktoberfest or our Christmas parade. Spikes. Our foreign tourists, this is just a list of some of the places that people come from all over the world to Clearlake, and they visit the visitor center. I've seen people from retired couples to young couples to young families come into the chamber looking for something to do in our community, and they come to the chamber because they don't really know what's going on or where to go or what to see. And our volunteers and myself, we keep a little thing of Lake County Diamonds that we can hand out to especially people from foreign countries. We'll set their itinerary, help them to decide, where they're going to go eat or where they're going to go visit or things that they're going to go see or do or what they're looking for. And it happens all the time, daily, through the chamber. When the fires hit Lake County, when they threatened our area, the chamber became a focal point for emergency services. We received calls and aided in determining what lodging facilities were available in our area to accommodate fire emergency responders and displaced residents. And the chamber also aided in requesting donations from local businesses in order to supply evacuation points. The chamber recently conducted a survey of its members just to be more proactive and engage with our membership. Our responses are broke down by percentages, and the survey was web-based and anonymous. This is a breakdown of our members and our membership loyalty. As you can see, the dark blue is 44%. Those are members that have been with us for 5 years or more. They make up a large percentage. They've been with us through thick and thin, and they will continue to be with us. They're our core people that we're very grateful for. You can see the 25%, the teal and the light blue, are both less than a year, and 1 to 3 years. I think that's a pretty good indication of growth. And then you can see a 6% smaller piece, which indicates that 3 to 5 years ago, we were trying to get our feet underneath us, and we didn't have a lot of members that came in with us at that time. This is how our members break down as to how they were satisfied and what they answered on the survey. I think we're doing pretty good with those percentages. This is a question that was asked, what would you like to see the chamber devote more resources to? They pretty much wanted everything I put up there. But events and ribbon cuttings, they were the two highest, and we are planning lots of events for 2019 in response to that. and reaching out to our members to do more mixers. This is one of the events that are coming. It's coming Cinco de Mayo, May 5th. It's going to be in Austin Park, and our tickets will go on sale in the first week of October. It's the Culpeper and Merriweather Circus. In April,
So you're,
I'm sorry.
You're kind of off here.
I'm already
Patrick.
a slide ahead in my mind. Fishing tournaments was another big one that people wanted to see come back to Lake County or come back to Clearlake. And these are tournaments that are going to be held in Redbud Park by BBT, Best Bass Trail. They're the largest amateur circuit in Northern California. The Clearlake Crappie Association tournament, they're coming here. They're just a wonderful grassroots fishing tournament that's going to come. As you see, there's $60 per team, which is extremely cheap for them to enter. So a lot of people can enter, and it's 100% payout. So all that money goes right back to the community. It's just a great thing. They got March 30th, and then they'll hold their finals too at Redbud Park at the last weekend in April. I don't know if you guys can hear me or not. Shakespeare at the Lake is coming to Austin Park, so we're really excited about that. It's going to be August 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. We're just really looking forward to them bringing that here and being a part of that. We have other events that we're known for that are coming, but are still in the planning stages as far as dates and things. That's the Luau on the Lake, the National Night Out, the 4th of July Parade with our worm races, and the Christmas Parade. The Chamber of Commerce has had specific goals over the last few years. We are working toward growing our chamber membership and giving our community something to be proud of. A goal that has been set and achieved over the past few years is our ultimate foundation, which is our beautiful permanent location. And I just want to take a minute to say thank you to our members and ask if there's any questions.
Thanks, Patrick.
Thank you for your dedication and all the members.
One question, soapbox races, is that still on the horizon?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you.
Still going to race down the hill.
Okay.
I just want to really thank you, Patrick, and all of you guys that have worked so hard to bring this chamber back alive. Really, that's what I'm going to say, back alive, because it had died. And it was just there, and nobody could even find you because you'd been everywhere, since you left the building there at the lake there. So I'm happy that the city was able to get that building and do a visitor center, but I'm more happy with the board that the chamber has now, and I can honestly say I'm really proud of what you guys are doing.
Thank you, Joyce.
And if I could just add a couple of comments, Patrick has done a phenomenal job since we brought him on. He really has been a game changer for the Clear Lake Chamber. And the other thing, he didn't mention it, but all the lights along Lakeshore this year, that was a contest that the chamber sponsored, and that's been one of my gripes since I got here, is that how come we don't have more Christmas lights? And the chamber and Patrick really made that happen this year, and I'm looking forward to even more next year. Thanks, Patrick.
Thank you.
Mr. Purdock, do you have a presentation? By Ed Man itself? Well, it better be called up than out.
I didn't get the training on the PowerPoint, so something over there, there's the clicker. Mr. Mayor and honorable council members, thank you so much for having me here. My name is Russell Purdock, and I am a lifetime resident of Clear Lake. I had the humble pleasure of serving with you, and we've had some pretty amazing presentations this evening, and it's wonderful to see. Unfortunately, I don't want to bring that down, but I do want to talk about something, and I think it's something that we need to look with our full vision and with an open heart. It's nothing that's surprising. It's nothing that you all haven't heard before. And I also want to address the members of the public here. So pardon, turn my shoulder to you, and I apologize for turning my back to you folks. But there's an opioid epidemic in our country. It's something that is devastating families, devastating communities, devastating our local schools, because people are dying. Families are dying because of this terrible problem that we have. And sadly, even though I am here and I'm representing the SafeRx program, which is funded, and the fiscal agent for that program is Adventist Health Clearlake. We have people that are dying here in Lake County. And the sad truth of it is it began through the medical side, the medical profession, through pharmaceuticals, I believe, and this is a personal opinion, were being prescribed perhaps without not full knowledge of what some of the impacts could have been. We have seen, and I'm not the expert here, I brought an expert with me who's going to go into greater detail, and she is amazing. But within just a few uses or a few doses of some of this medication, there are signs and symptoms of addiction that are beginning. Again, some of you know me, some of you may not. I currently am part of a blended family. We have 6 children. Of those 6 children, 3 of them have served or are serving in the United States military. We have our oldest son who served with the U.S. Army in the 10th Mountain Ranger. He was a medic serving in Afghanistan and Iraq. And he saw some pretty incredible things. Incredible in that soldiers out in the forward operating areas were being given opioids for pain and to keep them essentially in service by the gross. And being a medic, he was aware of some of the concerns that were beginning to arise. This is back several years. But seeing his friends that are now coming home addicted. Working with, he likes to work with the VAs, hoping to get a job there, to serve some of those vets down to the Vietnam vets and even Korean vets who are dealing with addiction issues. And I think he'd be wonderful at it. Just a little poke out there, anybody from the VA that might be watching, hire this kid, he's a good kid. My daughter serves currently in the United States Navy, and she's very concerned about some of her friends, that one who just recently committed suicide because of some of the things that they're seeing and what they're having to deal with when they come back home. So this is a very serious problem, and our son is currently in the Marines, getting trained up at Camp Lejeune. So as a father, I'm very concerned about some of these issues and concerned about our military folks. We're seeing, and in a presentation that was just made, not to be political, but our president was making a presentation about a border wall, but he had a mother there who was talking about her daughter who was a member of a cheer team who got injured during practice or in that sport, who became addicted to the pain pills that she was giving as a result of that injury, and she ultimately died from an overdose. So I don't want to take up a lot of time on this issue, but I want to make sure that we're all clear that this is not something that is just something that happens in dark rooms, happens in opium dens, or in some of those things we might have seen in movies. This is happening out of our medicine cabinets at home. It's happening to our families. It's happening to the ones that we care and love the most. And it's even causing some of our homeless problems that we're facing right here in Clearlake and in the county of Lake. So with that, I'm going to close my portion of this presentation and introduction. But I would like to introduce somebody who I find just to be simply amazing in her spirit and her energy, and that's Susan Reed. She's a nurse. She's been a nurse for over 30 years. She comes with a great deal of experience from the medicine and clinical side, but also has been a community leader and very involved in trying to help build the wellness of Lake County and within the city of Clearlake. If you're not currently aware of where we stand, We are 58 out of a total of 58 counties in California, and that would be we're last. We're not first. What's frustrating for me is it's really about zip codes, because while we might be ranked 58th, Napa, just a few miles away from us, is ranked 4th. We can turn this around. We can change the dynamic, and we can change the health status of Lake County by coming together as a community. Patrick talked about community. We have people who are living essentially alone in their homes. They're not exercising, they're not eating right, they're abusing drugs, and we can change that. We can turn that around by coming together as a community and by helping our neighbors out and by helping the people to get to our community centers, by helping people to get good meals through Meals on Wheels and through our senior center programs countywide. Anyway, I digress. She's a wellness coach. She has been serving the Lake County community, trying to create a healthier environment for our future generations. She's very excited to be a part of the health leadership experience here in Lake County. And I just want to introduce and present to you Susan Reed, who will have a wonderful presentation, I hope, for you all to see. Without further ado, Susan Reed.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I'm happy to be here, and I hope to be able to introduce you to some of the solutions instead of the problems that we have here. So I'm really here tonight, kind of short, so. And I do apologize. I was wondering how we were going to navigate the whole back thing and not shut anybody out. So I apologize. I'll try to keep moving. So SafeRx is your local opioid coalition. Does everybody know what an opioid is? I just want to make sure. That's like Percocet, Vicodin, morphine. They're all opioids. And I'm here tonight to ask you to help me to implement a program called Leave It Behind. Leave It Behind is a program that offers Narcan. Narcan is the solution to an opioid overdose when it's happening in the moment. So I also want to expand the availability of the Narcan, and I want to help to reduce the amount of prescription drugs in our Lake County homes. So here is our death chart here on Lake County, and this is compared to the state of California. So you see we had a bad year in 2015, and we're on the rise. And I can tell you that in this chart, all the deaths have not been reported to us yet. Our last quarter we're still waiting on. Right now we're at 18 deaths from opioid related, and we expect it to be a little bit higher, not too much though. But look at the difference between us and California. And that's why we're here. And Narcan can help in the moment. And the thing that I feel so passionate about is we have to get the Narcan to the people that are using it. And there's controversy over that, I know that, but I want to create an opportunity for those people to get help. And if they die, they can't get any help. So I want to create that opportunity, and so does my team. So I'm proposing a Leave It Behind program where we would work with EMS, law enforcement, and fire. As we all know, law enforcement goes into the homes. They can identify. Yes?
Why is it called Leave It Behind?
I'm going to explain that to you right now.
Okay.
And they would be leaving Narcan behind. So say they get called out on domestic violence, and they go out to the home, but they identified the home as a user home of opioids. They could leave a kit with them, and in the kit is 2 doses of Narcan. And that will give them probably enough time to save their life and to get EMS on the scene. Why do we need it? We need it so bad in this county, it breaks my heart. Since I've lived here for 20 years, I live on Cobb, and the old saying is that this is where they dropped off the drug addicts when I moved here 20 years ago. It's been one of our biggest problems in this county since the day I moved here, and we have to start somewhere. And this is a wonderful place to start because there's lots of funding streaming in for opioids right now. And this is a chance for us to make a difference. The average age of the people that are dying in our county is 53 years old. I'm 53. So that, hits my heart. And it's not the kids, it's the adults. And just like Russ said, this happened through pharmaceutical. People were overprescribed and they got addicted almost immediately. And it's very, very easy to get addicted. So everybody is watching Lake County right now. When I look at reading a grant, they use Lake County as an example in just the literature that I read. So it's no longer an option for us to close our eyes and look the other way, and not that we ever did, but it's no longer. It's time to lead the way, and time to do it now. Now, if I had my pom-poms, rah-rah, because here we go. So what can we do? We can implement a Leave It Behind program where law enforcement, EMS, and fire can leave Narcan in the home if they identify it as an opioid use home. We can educate as much as possible. We can expand our drug disposal, and we can also have safe syringe exchange. So how does Leave It Behind work? Every first responder would be trained to carry Narcan, and they will be able to initiate leaving it behind. The first responder will assess for high risk on the spot. How do they know that? They're already trained for that, by the way, I've been told. So they already know how to identify that. They can offer not just the person in the home that's the user, but the family and their friends. Because in the end, if somebody's overdosing, you can't save yourself. Somebody else has to save you. The training is 2 to 5 minutes. Harm reduction, which is a big coalition throughout the state of California, they say if it takes longer than 5 minutes to do the training, you're doing it wrong. So it's not going to take a lot of their time to do it, and it increases the chances of this person staying alive and getting into recovery. When would they use it? So I gave you some examples of that. Reason to suspect, including previous or current overdoses. The officers experience themselves. If they suspect any unhealthy use of opioids, and that includes heroin. Friends and family just stating a need. As a matter of fact, I had Russ bring these from the office, and I have 5 with me. And if you have somebody that you know that needs it, I want you to take one tonight. Because that's where I want this to go to, are the people that can help the other people. Also, pets can take it. So if anybody's pet is at risk, and the officers have identified it, they can leave it. Also, many times when law enforcement is called out to a home and it is an overdose, they don't want to go to the hospital. They don't want to come in through the ER. So they'll refuse treatment on the spot. That is the perfect time to be able to leave Narcan, because they have to honor it. There's nothing that they can do except honor the person's wishes. But basically, any home, any place they go, any person on the street that they pull over that they have identified as high risk, they can leave Narcan with them. And I'm ready to roll it out. So, this was originally started in North Carolina. and they put policy procedure into place. And I was lucky enough to have a Vista, like an intern, work with me. Then she had her master's in law enforcement, or criminal justice she had her master's in, and she helped me adapt the policy and procedure for Lake County. Now, it's not really my final say. Of course, every institution will have to look at it and adapt it to their, but I have a written, suggested procedure ready to roll out right now. Lake County Sheriff's Office and probation officers are already trained and educated, and they're equipped to revive on the spot right now, but I am awaiting final approval to adopt the Leave It Behind program. We can supply the first round of Narcan because I already have it stocked, and then there is just a form that has to be filled out, and law enforcement, fire, EMS can get as much free naloxone as they want. Right now there is no expiration date on when they're going to start that. And that is what I'm talking about, the funding just flowing in and paying for it. I think Narcan's going to be available over the counter within probably 2 years. And then also I can help them to navigate any training or support that they need. What else are we doing? We have 2 needle exchanges. The one in Lakeport is more of a mobile unit. It's called Any Positive Change. A woman named Anina, she completely volunteers her time, and she's been doing it over 10 years in Lake County. The reason I bring up needle exchange is because she can give out the Narcan too at the needle exchange, and that's where we want it to be. We want it to be with the users and get it close to the people. We have applied for a certification for the Clearlake area. The name of the needle exchange here or syringe exchange will be All Lives Matter. They're already up and going. They're already working and volunteering their time, and it's going wonderfully. She has given out over 100 Narcans. She collects in like 1 week. I want to say, she told me 1 day, but I think I have this wrong. I think it's 1 week, 2,000 needles. 2,000 needles? Really? So the other way we're dealing with it is medication disposal. And so right now, Clearlake and Lakeport PD both have a place where people can bring in their unused medication, especially if you have children in the home. I have teenagers. I mean, I'm just like, if anybody gives me an opioid, it's like, I have to turn it in immediately because I don't want that in my home. I don't want my kids near it. Also, Moran's Pharmacy here in Clearlake is in the process of putting in a drop box. And wasn't it Lakeport? We heard that Lakeport's disposable, they have special dispensers for it, is already filled. And they've had it for like, I think 6 weeks. We are applying for a grant. It hasn't posted yet, but I'm on it. I've even emailed them already about it. It was supposed to post mid-February. It's going to post mid-March. And this grant will pay for a drop box in every pharmacy in our county that is willing to have them. But in the year 2022, it will be a law. So we can get ahead of it. I would love that to happen. So I'm on that, and I have my team will be going out there. I also want you to know that the Leave It Behind program, no other county in California has it. We can be the first ones if we do it. And I want to be the first because we have one of the biggest problems in California. I'm asking you to approve it when it comes through from fire, EMS, and law enforcement. I'm asking you to support us in needle syringe exchange so we can give out more Narcan, and also in our medication disposable. So our next step is to meet with law enforcement. So now that I have Russ as my new boss, I'm totally going to be working that angle of it. But I want you to know that there's so many facets, and I only had a few minutes to talk to you today because I can go on and on. But I want you to know what else we're doing, just briefly. We are addressing it at the youth level. And I feel like if we don't start with the youth, we're never going to change it. So we're teaching in the schools. We have events with the youth. We are funding a drug prevention program through our Clearlake Youth Center. If you haven't been down there, you should go down there and check it out. They're doing a fantastic job. We're trying to get it into the emergency room and bridge the people into recovery right away. They're treated on the spot if they come in. We're collecting the data because you know what data does? Gets us money, brings it in. So it's important to do that. So we've given out over 350 kits already. I'm educating doctors, nurses, hospitals. We have a steering committee, and I would love for any one of you to join us. We meet bi-monthly. It's 1 hour, and we'll give you lunch. And so if you are interested, I will have my cards here. Please take one, contact me, and I'll put you on the list. I'd love for you to join us. So, and we'll continue to bring in grant funding, and we are looking at methamphetamines as well, because we all know that that's one of our major issues here. So, and thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
So, Mr. Mayor, the ask is, we have this sitting with County Council. Mr. Sabatier, if you would help maybe move that along so we can get that going at the county level. The ask is that you might have your city attorney review the proposed policy, that this might be accepted and adopted by our chief of police for implementation. Again, what we're trying to do is look at this now clinically. I was away last week in training in Florida, and in the week that I was there, 3 individuals were found unconscious. With opioids, you stop breathing. That's how you expire, typically. And they were found at a gas station on the ground. They had unknowingly ingested a bunch of fentanyl instead of what they thought it was. And there were people that were able to immediately administer a dose of Narcan, and that kept these folks alive until fire EMS arrived and got them to the hospital. So then what we would like to do then in the progression of this process is we can introduce them then to a clinical solution. There are other methods out there that can help them to get off of these prescription drugs and return to a healthy lifestyle, and that's obviously what we are all shooting for. I again want to commend, and I'm maybe not really patting myself on the back because I'm new to the hospital, but for the forward thinking. We saw a need. Susan's absolutely right. We're the first ones. We're leading the way, not because Lake County is the worst in the state for this issue, but because we want to get ahead of it. And if you would like, Mr. Mayor, I don't want to take up all your time. I know you got, I think, a consent agenda and maybe a couple of big items after that. But if you'd like, Susan can go through the kit and kind of maybe explain what's within it and how it works, because this is a nasal inhaler, so might have confused folks.
Yeah, so there's no more needles anymore. They used to give Narcan by needle. Now it just comes in a little like squirt right up your nose. You just kind of hold it on both sides and you squeeze the middle. Very easy. I just trained you. 30 seconds
she
or
just
less.
trained you.
Does it work even if they're not breathing?
Yes, absolutely. Respirations can cease and it will work and bring them back. And if it doesn't kick in within 3 minutes, that's part of the training, then you have your second dose that you can give. Now, I don't know if police are, law enforcement is going to put it in a little bag like I do, but if they do, that's fine. I'll teach them how to do it. And then you get a pair of gloves, so if they need to. And then you also get a respirator breathing. So if you have to give mouth to mouth, in order to keep them alive, to keep the blood pumping, for any reason it's taking too long for EMS to get there, you have that as well. And I have the directions in here in Spanish and in English. So.
Any questions?
Yeah, I just have a couple of quick questions on the use of the Narcan. What is the exact effect?
It brings them back. What it does is that the opioids go into the receptor of the brain, and it blocks the receptors. So all the opioid, heroin, whatever, Vicodin, just falls off, and it gets blocked, and they come right around.
Has anyone seen Narcan administered to someone under the influence of an opioid, Chief or Lieutenant? It's awesome.
And then
in some cases, it's like they're almost dead, and then
they come right
light
back.
up.
So it brings them back, and then you said that, but then they have to seek medical attention. So how long does it work for? So after 20 minutes, we're back in the same program again?
That's why you have the second dose, but you would hope that by that time you have help.
Okay. And then is there any known side effects or ill effects from the Narcan? The question I ask is because if you had somebody that you thought was...
It's a great question.
Right?
Great question.
And
Great question.
No, there is no side effects from it.
Okay.
That's why I really believe that it'll be over the counter soon enough.
Okay. And these are single doses. One time it's done.
One time done.
Okay.
Simple. Yep.
Anyone else? Any other questions?
I'd like to comment that this is across our society. In my career, I've seen police officers, firemen, EMS, attorneys, nurses, doctors, all affected with this addiction. So it's not just somebody that we may picture as being low income and sitting home popping pills. It is everyday Americans. It's across our society.
You are absolutely right.
And it's been an epidemic for many, many years, and now it's just coming to the forefront.
People don't even know they're addicted.
In closing, I'd just like to say, if you have a family member, someone you know, someone you care about, even someone you might meet on the street, if they need help, please send them to see a physician. Get them some help. We do have programs available, and we are wanting to help folks so we can get them back into a healthy lifestyle. So thank you very much.
Quick question. What are the costs of the kits, out of curiosity? I know you're supplying them, but
The little red bag costs us like 80 cents.
the whole thing.
The whole thing together is probably less than $2, but we get the Narcan for free.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can get these out in great numbers to our chief. Are you now going to, have you talked with our fire department, local fire department yet?
No, I have not yet. You are our first step in the Clearlake area.
Okay. Well, thank you. This is a great information.
And I'm going to leave a pile of cards, and if you didn't get a Narcan kit tonight and you would like one, just contact me. You can also get in touch with SafeRx and my whole team through our website, which is SafeRx Lake County. It's easy. Okay? Great. Thank you. Thank you.
This is the time for public comment. Madam Clerk, did we have any,
Mr. Mayor, I have not received any public comment cards.
is there anybody who would like to make any public comment? Comments are not a matter, cannot pertain to any matter on the agenda, and we as a council will not be able to respond to you in most circumstances because of the Brown Act. Okay, seeing none, let's move forward. Consent agenda, Mr. Folsom?
No changes, Mr. Mayor.
No changes. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Also move.
We open it to the public now?
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We need to open it up to the public.
Oh,
to ask
public
us.
comment? Not to ignore you. I love this crowd tonight. Thank you. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Negative. Okay, so let's move on
13.
to, I don't want too much. confirm assessments in the total amount of $52,327 for 5 Cal Recycle grant-funded abatements in accordance with Clear Lake Municipal Code, Chapter 10. Mr. Folsom?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to introduce our Code Enforcement Supervisor, Lee Lambert, for this item.
The purpose of this hearing, is it on now?
Yeah.
Okay, the purpose of the hearing is to consider and act upon any and all appeals of proposed assessments. Upon consideration of the evidence and testimony, council may grant the appeal and adopt a resolution to deny or demand the assessment, or deny the appeal and adopt a resolution upholding the assessment for abatement of real property. Hearing information. By motion of the City Council, a contract was awarded to Wahlberg Incorporated for the demolition and disposal of the 5 properties as described in the staff report. Inspection and abatement warrants were issued by a judge of the Lake County Superior Court for each property. Demolition permits were issued to Wahlberg Incorporated, and all 5 properties were abated the week of November 5th, 2018 through November 9th, 2018. Inspections were performed at each property, and it was confirmed that each abatement had been completed to the satisfaction of the building inspector. Attached to the staff report is the proposed resolutions confirming assessments and statement of expenses. Staff recommends that council confirm all assessments as proposed. The mayor shall read each resolution separately and by title only. A roll call vote shall follow the reading of each resolution separately. And I'd like to provide you the evidence for the property. So resolution number 2019-03 for the property at 3182 Park Street. Owner is Durand Wilson II for an assessment of $7,838. This is what it looked like before, and that's what it is now. Resolution number 2019-04 for property at 2971 6th Street, and the owner is Karen Denise Winchell. The assessment amount is $6,803. Before, and that's after. Resolution number 2019-05 at 3114 8th Street. Property owners are Thomas and Thelma Davalos. Assessment value of $12,917. Before. After. Resolution number 2019-06 for 3292 9th Street. Property owner is a Claudia Schilling. The assessment amount is $6,550. And resolution number 2019-07 for 3373 11th Street. Property owner was Mary Rudd, and the assessment amount is $18,219. And that's the end of my staff report.
And if I could just add one other item, that when we did accept this grant from Cal Recycle, one of the stipulations was that we did put a lien on the properties, that as properties got sold, that lien would then be reimbursed to Cal Recycle.
What determines what the assessment is?
The cost of the abatements.
Okay. I'll open it for anybody from the public here to address any of those properties. None coming forward. We'll close public hearing. Any discussion among the council? I'll look for,
Awesome.
oh,
Keep going on
Yes.
this stuff, because this is very important.
It's excellent.
And I like the way it looks afterwards. That's certainly one of our strategic goals.
So we want a motion on each one of these, then, huh?
no, I think,
Each one?
do we have to each one, or?
No?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution number 2019-3, 2019-404, 2019-05, 2019-06, and 2019-07, a resolution of the City Council, City of Clear Lake, confirming special assessments for the abatement of the real properties and approve the liens against the real properties in accordance with Chapter 10 of the Clear Lake Municipal Code.
Second that.
We have a motion and a second. Do we need a vote on, roll call on it?
We can roll call, sure.
We do or don't?
I can make a roll call vote, sure.
Okay.
Councilmember Overton?
Aye.
Councilmember Slutin?
Aye.
Councilmember Harris?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Kramer?
Aye.
And Mayor Bennett?
Aye. Okay. Good job. Item number 14, agenda item 14, excuse me, is Lake EDC Path to Prosperity and Economic Strategy Presentation and Funding Consideration. Mr. Folsom.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to introduce Andy Lucas from the Lake County EDC. EDC stands for Economic Development Corporation. This is a follow-up to the joint meeting that we had with the City of Lakeport and the County of Lake, where we discussed a economic development strategic action plan. And from that, we've had further meetings at the Lake County EDC. The new name for that strategy is the Path to Prosperity. And as soon as they get over their technical discussion, Andy Lucas will be the one to present the rest of this item.
Thank you, Gary. Sorry about that. We have a live example for our website here that I wanted to make sure we could cut to. As Greg said, my name is Andy Lucas. I work as staff for the Lake County Economic Development Corporation. The EDC is a 501c3, and I'm going to try and address everybody here, but mostly obviously the council. Thank you for the opportunity, by the way, to present. The Lake County Economic Development Corporation is a 501c3 nonprofit that was incorporated in 1983. So it's been around for quite some time in Lake County with the mission of business attraction, job retention, and job growth here in Lake County. We operate mostly by USDA grants. They have rural business development grants that provide opportunity for the EDC to provide technical assistance, which essentially means helping a business with whatever the problems are. For instance, some businesses need help building a Facebook page. Some businesses need help with cash flow analysis. So we try to identify what the issues are with the business and then alleviate those issues by providing either an expert service provider, such as a bookkeeper, or someone that knows social marketing or social media. And again, the purpose of the corporation is to facilitate creation, retention, expansion, and attraction of businesses in Lake County. Through various services, the EDC is able to provide these services. The Economic Development Corporation operates a business loan program that has loaned out over $3.2 million and has participated in over 300 jobs being created, retained, or attracted. So again, I talked about some of those services that we provide: social media, marketing assistance, QuickBooks, help with a business plan, putting together a business plan. And then we've also, it's been about a year, the EDC has been more involved in USDA housing programs. In February of last year, USDA Rural Development Director for the state of California, Kim Van, visited Lake County and talked to several employers to help understand some of the needs in Lake County. Some of those needs were, well, the very important immediate need was workforce housing. And you know, when we talk about affordable housing, workforce housing, these USDA programs can lend up to $369,000 for the purchase or construction of a new home. So that's a pretty decent home here in Lake County. So these programs are working. We've closed some loans, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a few slides. So the EDC collaborates with several different nonprofits, businesses, jurisdictions. One of those happens to be the Clearlake Chamber of Commerce, so I appreciate Patrick's presentation this evening. We also work with the County of Lake, the City of Lakeport, and the City of Clearlake. I'd like to mention that Greg Folsom is a board member, and we also have Stephanie Ashworth, who is our board president and branch manager for Bank of the West here in Clearlake. Now, you may recognize the first one on the left there, Classy Cakes, who had a great write-up here, by the way, in the Record B, Classy Cakes, and a nice shout out for the city with regard to doing business and how expeditious it was. So I'd like to commend the city for that. Classy Cakes was one that we have worked with. We helped them to kind of put together their business plan, as well as access other resources, I'll put it that way. Now, this is the budget for 2018. The EDC operates on a fiscal year of July 1 to June 30, and that's based on the USDA grant cycle. That Rural Business Development Grant just reopened with a solicitation for application. That'll close on March 29th, so it's a little ahead of schedule this year, but we plan to make application to that program. Now this is based on last year, so we had a total operating budget of $141,300, and the City of Clearlake contributed to that operating budget. You all provided match funding for that Rural Business Development Grant, which again allows us to provide technical assistance to businesses. And we also were able to develop some marketing materials. Greg attended, I think it was the International Conference for Shopping Centers in Las Vegas last year, and was able to take some of that marketing material for the City of Clearlake down there, and that was through collaboration with CalRecycle and the city. And so some of the major accomplishments for 2018 for the EDC was the creation of this data capture tool, which we'll cut to an example here shortly. But this essentially allows for businesses or anybody really to get some information about Lake County. There's some great data, and we'll take a quick look at that. You can use it for say site selection for a business. So if a business is looking somewhere in California, this website provides a whole lot of data on Lake County to help them make their decision. So it can be used for business attraction. We also, the EDC approved one business loan last year in the amount of $150,000 for a Clearlake area business. We provided technical assistance to over 20 businesses around the county, which again is that sort of business diagnostics and mechanic type work, if you will. So working with the business to understand their needs and meeting those needs. And again, the USDA 502 program, which is really important here in Lake County because economic development and housing are certainly intertwined. So the EDC was a conduit to the Lake County Economic Development Strategy, which you all attended the December 3rd meeting in Kelseyville. and we appreciate the city's contribution to bringing that strategy to fruition. Dr. Eiler was the author of that strategy, and we came to find that the EDC was doing several of the things that were recommended in that strategy with regard to business development. And so these two, the data capture tool, Alan, maybe we can cut to that at the end or right now if you're, okay, we'll cut to that at the end, and that'll be a live feed of the website example. And then with regard to the USDA housing programs, we've had one individual family that has closed on a loan here in the city, so we're helping residents of the city to purchase homes, as well as the opportunity to build homes. We're also working with Clearlake-based business that does renovations. So blighted homes, they purchase them, renovate them, and then sell them. So we are working with a network of builders, realtors, lenders, and the jurisdictions. And again, the goal is just to help people with home ownership build equity for their families. So this slide here is our budget forecast for fiscal year 1920. And as you'll see, we'll apply again for that USDA Rural Business Development Grant. We are requesting of the city to continue this work as well as do business attraction work, amount of $10,000 for consideration. And the business attraction work is important because the federal funds unfortunately can't be used for business attraction because the federal government looks at it as sort of poaching, if you will. If we're all under the federal umbrella, so moving one business to another jurisdiction, they just don't allow for that. So this is our budget forecast. We again plan to apply for that RBDG loan and then grant, and we'll continue to do the work that has been laid out in this strategy. So again, the Lake County Economic Development Corporation helped to facilitate the development of this strategy through contributions from the City of Clearlake, the City of Lakeport, County of Lake, and Workforce Alliance of the North Bay. Some of the three items that were identified by the EDC board on December 7th following the December 3rd strategy presentation are these. So define and market 25 countywide commercial sites with complete information on each site, and we are working to build that inventory and then have it inputted into the website. Expand broadband services to commercial and residential users not adequately served now. So through working with various businesses that are here, we aim to expand broadband services for those that are underserved, and because we view broadband as essentially a utility now that everybody needs, especially for economic development. And lastly, fund infrastructure improvements such as public bathrooms and wastewater treatment at Lamson Airfield. Now, that's just an example of an infrastructure improvement project that is beneficial to all of the county. If we're able to sort of enhance the capacity of our airport, that potentially helps all of Lake County. And that is the completion of my presentation, other than the quick cutaway to this website. So on the Lake County CAEDC.org, we have a property finder. We have several Clearlake properties that are listed. The airport property is listed in there, as well as other commercial and residential potential development sites. So there's lots of information available. Again, site selectors can go to this website, take a quick look at what's available. They can look at demographics. You can kind of draw your radius, say, of 10 miles and look at cost of housing, educational attainment, available workforce, higher education. So all the things that businesses look for when they're thinking of moving or even starting a business. There's information available here. And this site also is beneficial to existing businesses because they can click on, they can enter their NAICS code and look at, say, restaurants within a 10-mile radius that can be competition. So it helps with existing businesses to understand the market and competition, and also for business attraction. So it's a great tool. I hope everybody goes and just takes a peek and plays around with it. And we really appreciate the city's involvement in helping to bring this to fruition, because this data really does help with business attraction and assistance.
Yeah, and if I can just add on to that, in my previous incarnations working in the city of Stockton and with Riverside County, we had the same program that we use there. We found it to be extremely helpful. Lots of businesses would actually find locations by utilizing this site. We're currently just at the beginning stages of implementing it here in Lake County, so, but I would encourage you to kind of look at it, and it's very powerful. The demographics that you can get off of this site is just, I mean, more information than you would think that you could get. And so I was very pleased that we chose to move forward with that with the Lake County EDC.
Thanks for coming here. I have a couple of questions and suggestions. I've been to 2 Dr. Eilish programs, very informative. But I like to see some kind of score. We need to follow up with what he suggested and where are we with those things, like, for instance, the airport. He suggested that was a great economic development opportunity there. The county hasn't updated their general plan on the airport for, they don't even know what it is. So that's a big problem. The other part of it is, can you work with the economic opportunity zones? Do you know how that works and stuff?
Yes, we do, and the great thing about this is you can adjust your filters so site selectors can see that opportunity zones, the map of the city of Clear Lake, so those census blocks are included in there. So the answer is yes, sir.
Okay, great. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor?
Thanks, Andy, for that presentation. It's great. That looks like a great site. How does the normal person know that site is there? What attracts you to it?
Right, so that's one thing that we're working on, and this, like I mentioned, the EDC has been around since 1983, but it's gone through several iterations. Following the Valley Fire, there was a tremendous need, and then, of course, there have been several fires, disasters afterwards. So the EDC has gone through this sort of reinvigoration. So to answer your question, we do news releases. We try to share on social media. Through these presentations, we're trying to bring awareness as well. There's also, through the support of the GIS Planning, which is the organization that operates the site for us, they do press releases. They have contacts with 16,000 economic developers internationally, so they help us with that. So it's been a process. But it's
and also once we're able to populate the site a little bit more with some additional commercial sites, we'll be putting that into our website as well. So it'll be on.
So you'll link to other sites?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. And the site's been up how long now?
Well, this site's been up about. Well, it'll be a year in April. Yeah.
What kind of hits have you gotten on it now?
We've gotten quite a few, and the nice thing about this also is it allows you to kind of track your leads. So, for instance, Ariat International, who's a boot and Western workwear manufacturer, they had looked at the site, so we're able to see that they looked at the site, and then we can proceed to follow up. So it's a great tool for business attraction, again, business retention.
What was the name of the website again?
Is Lake County CAEDC.org. That's the URL.
So, okay, so, and I'm glad you asked. So my conclusion here is once this is completed, How we are going to advertise it is basically going to be on our website and maybe the chamber's websites and et cetera, so that if somebody calls the chamber and says, hey, I'm looking for an area to build, they can direct them to this site. And then we will be able, or they will be able, somebody will be able to see who contacted them. And let's say somebody from the chamber can call and say, hey, I seen you went to our site. Did you have some questions, something like that? Is that how this is supposed to work?
Yes, it's how it's supposed to work. We have direct links on the website, the Lake EDC website, to the Clearlake Chamber, the other business associations around the lake. And that's the idea of information exchange, passing on leads. This website as a resource, we welcome anybody's use for the purpose of obviously economic development. But yes, there's tie-in to I guess collaboration to other sites. Yes.
But to me, from what I can see, my most important thing with economic development is somebody's looked at it. That's great. It's the follow-up behind that somebody's went on and somebody's calling them to say, you know, hey, I see you went to our website. I see you were looking in this area. Is there something I can help you with? Do you have any questions? Because if we don't have that follow-up, then, you know, we don't know if we're going to be able to capture them, because people look and then they say, oh, no. But if you contact them and have a conversation with them, you might change their minds on what they were thinking in the first place. So to me, as long as it has where somebody can contact the person who's looking at it, you know, of course, you know, some people play on it like us. We'll go look and play. But if they could see that it's a developer, a company that they would be interested in going and being able to do that. So that's good. Then I think this will be a great thing for us.
Yes, and I believe that both Greg and Alan have been assigned administrative privileges, so they're able to access those lead generator tools as well. And each week they send an email Monday morning with sort of the visitors to the sites and ways to follow up on those leads.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So what staff is asking for is for council to consider endorsing the EDC Path to Paradise Prosperity economic strategy, and then we'll talk more about the funding when we start our budget workshops.
Any public comment on this?
Thank you.
Thank you.
So this also came to the county for us to endorse as well. We unanimously endorsed this. I see this already with City Manager Folsom being on the board. This is kind of a catalyst of ensuring that we all work together in this county for the greater good, for prosperity. I see this as being a really good program. Councilmember Slutin, I'm still trying to come back from the low blow that we don't know about our airport. I've already been looking at the airport as one of our economic development factors for this community. And so when I saw that it was one of the top 3 priorities for the EDC, last week we already had the airport committee to be revitalized from the county. It was approved, so soon I believe you are on the you're on the board, so you will be getting a phone call soon for what I hope will be a meeting coming up in the near future.
Saved a sarcastic remark from me as well.
So I think this is a great opportunity, so I look forward to seeing your decision on this.
Anybody else? Lisa.
Good evening. My name is Lisa Wilson, and I'm a resident of the City of Clear Lake. Tonight, I'm representing the Lake County Chamber of Commerce. I'm the vice president, and the Lake County Chamber of Commerce has decided to champion 2 projects this year, coming from Dr. Eiler's presentation. One of those is the broadband solution for the total county, and the other is the airport. So we have Lance Butcher as our board member, who will be our conduit to the committees for the airport, so he would be involved in that committee. And he's also talked to Tom Lincoln and the Airmen's Association. So we really want to understand as a chamber board what's going on and what are the roadblocks, so we can help go under, around, and over them. We also have Jeremy Zabel, who's the owner of Park Place. He will be our champion for broadband. So if I misspoke, it's Jeremy for broadband and Lance for the airport. So those are the two things that we'll be talking about at every board meeting, and we encourage you to support the ECDC and these two programs as part of the ECDC. Thank you.
Anything further? Thank you much for your comments, both of you. Bring it back to council.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move that City Council endorse the Path to Prosperity economic strategy and consider funding during the March 14th budget workshop.
Second that.
Motion and second. Do we need a roll call on that? No. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passed. Agenda item 15. Authorize city manager to purchase an asphalt recycler, asphalt hot box, crack sealer, Vector trailer, and associated products for a not to exceed price of $283,821.40, and waive the competitive bidding process. Mr. Folsom.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let me just first start off with an apology that you received this information just, recently. We were putting this information together just as early as this morning. Probably should have put it on the next council agenda meeting, but I'm very excited about it. So I wanted to get this in front of you and potentially purchased as soon as possible so that we can get this out there and working on the streets. So let me just explain a little bit about how we currently go about doing potholes. We currently use something called cold patch. Cold patch is something that doesn't have to be hot. You just go out and you put it in the hole, you stomp it down, and you move on to the next one. The problem with the cold patch, from our experience, is that it lasts maybe a couple of weeks, less if there's bad weather or something else. So our guys, they go out, they fill the holes. A couple weeks later, they're back out, filling the very same holes. It's A, not very cost effective, and B, not very staff resource effective. Our staff was able to identify additional equipment that we're going to be talking about tonight that we've never been able to afford in the past, and that's why we haven't been doing it in the past. Then the reason they haven't really been able to go out to asphalt plants is that we don't have one that's within about an hour and a half. So by the time they actually get out there, purchase a load of hot asphalt, it's for the most part too cold to use over here. So there's a couple of different things here, and we had a demonstration of most of these products a couple of weeks ago. Councilmember Slutin and Councilmember Kramer, Vice Mayor Kramer, were there to kind of get a look at it. So first one is the asphalt recycler. Basically what you do is you take scrap asphalt, such as the 20,000 yards of asphalt grindings that we already have out at the courtyard. We also have in our contracts for all future road rehab projects to get the scrap asphalt and save those. You take that scrap asphalt, you add an emulsifier, you put it in this asphalt recycler, it heats it all up, blends it all back together, puts the emulsion back into the asphalt, so it's basically brand new hot asphalt that we then would put into a hot box, which would keep the asphalt hot the entire day while staff is out patching holes, potholes throughout the city. This hot asphalt is going to make a much better patch. It's going to last much longer. It's supposed to last for several years on these patches, beyond just the several weeks. So hopefully we'll be able to go out, patch those potholes, and not have to go back out and patch those potholes. The other item that we saw demonstrated was what's called an asphalt crack sealer. That's where they go out. It's got a very high pressure air nozzle where you clean out the cracks. Then you go back in with this, I don't know exactly what the substance is, but it's kind of a polymer asphalt that goes in. It seals the roads. The problem that you have is when you have these cracks in your roads and then you get moisture in there, that it deteriorates your roads. So by putting in these crack sealers, you're able to get a lot more life out of your roads. The final product that we looked at is a Vector trailer. One of the issues that we have as far as drainage is we've got, you've got your drain inlets. I went out with our supervisor, Public Works Supervisor Mike Baker a few weeks ago when we had a demonstration of this. We've got drain inlets that are completely blocked in with dirt and what was mud, and just they're completely blocked, and it's not able to drain appropriately. By having this Vector trailer, instead of our public works staff going into these vaults and having to hand dig them out, they're able to use this high pressure water that they shoot into here, along with a high suction. So it creates kind of a mud, and then it sucks it all out and then cleans it out in a fraction of the time that it would take for the guys to go in and actually dig it out. So the total price of all that is, along with $20,000 worth of the product for the crack sealer, comes to $283,821.40. We're looking at potentially getting a demo unit off of the crack sealer to shave a few more $1,000s off that, but I wanted to give the high price just in case we weren't able to get that. But that essentially concludes my report on this. We'll be using Measure V money to purchase this project, these products, and Mike Baker, our Public Works Supervisor, is here if you have specific questions regarding how the products work and that type of thing. We're also asking that you waive the competitive bidding process because we were not able to get 3 bids for each of these types of products. Again, this is not a commodity. These are specialized types of products, and staff has researched and found that these were the ones that they thought really fit the bill the best. So that concludes my report.
Vice Mayor.
When we were at the demonstration, they also talked about an infrared pavement heater. Did you decide, staff decide?
Mike, can you come up, Mike? Mike Baker was the one that put the quotes together and got the information together. Mike, is the infrared a part of that quote?
It is not.
Okay.
He sent me quotes today that I can give to you.
Okay.
They didn't come till later, like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so.
Is it under $20,000 to get that out on?
Yes.
Okay, so potentially I could just go forward and do that under my authority. That was our intent, was to get that.
To get that as well, because that seemed to me to be the final piece to get the asphalt to stick to the asphalt in the road. Or am I wrong there?
Nope, you're correct.
If we're gonna go to the trouble of putting hot asphalt in, I think we need to go do go all the way. Because I can show you many of those cold patches that were put in prior to the rains are now gone. That's throwing good money after bad, so I'd be all for doing the complete unit to make it really work the best.
So Mike, can I ask you, what was the quote on the infrared?
I don't remember exactly.
Ballpark.
Greg, if you want to give me a minute, I can go log on my computer and check it out for you.
Can we lease this equipment to like the lease programs we have with the other equipment?
Mr. Mayor, they do, Craftco does have a government lease program. The issue that we have is timing. So in order to participate in their program, we have to join a specific purchasing cooperative. And this is sort of like the TIPS cooperative that we joined last year, but our city municipal code would have to be amended to allow joining that cooperative because they're specified in the municipal code, and the timing on that's going to be at least 60 days until that was effective. And based on the available budgeted funds in Measure V, we feel like the best way forward on this particular set of equipment is just to purchase it and have it ready to go.
Okay, works for me, thank you. And I've seen the equipment work, so we didn't see the infrared box, but I saw the other stuff, and it works pretty good.
I would add, when we had the initial demo, the salesperson told us that the infrared piece was around $10,000. I'm not sure if it's the same size as what he quoted on this, but it just gives you an idea of the range. It should easily be under the $20,000, I think.
That was my recollection as well, as it was less than 20.
So, I absolutely agree with all of this because, I mean, we've had these discussions before about this cold patch. Unfortunately, it's just not a product that lasts. But I think this is going to be a real solution. A couple of concerns. I just want to make sure that we're not going to have any issue with the equipment we're purchasing falling under the carbon emissions issues, where the Tier 4 carbon emissions thing we were just discussing earlier in the day. I'm going to make sure that we're going to be compliant for X number of years with the equipment we're purchasing. I'm not sure if they have diesel motors or.
Everything is Tier 4.
Okay, Tier 4.
California
Okay,
compliant.
so that was my only concern about it. But no, I'm very excited about this, and I think that if it was possible, could we just build right into this an approval for an additional up to 10% overage for the purchase of this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Infrared thing. Thank you very much for your efforts on this. You know how excited I am about this thing, especially the back trailer thing. It's fantastic.
Any further questions of Mike?
Just thank for your hard work.
Any public comment?
Yeah, thumbs up, it looks like.
So far, thumbs up. Thank God. Okay, I'll look for a motion.
I move that we approve the purchase of equipment and authorize the city manager to execute the related documents and contracts and add another 10% for the additional purchase of the infrared box.
I'll second that.
And waive the competitive bidding process.
And waive the competitive bidding process.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Overton.
Aye.
Councilmember Slutin.
Aye.
Councilmember Harris.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Kramer.
Aye.
And Mayor Bennett.
Aye.
Thank you, council. We're all very excited about this.
You got all the tools now, all of you guys, thank you. All the goodies.
And you guys got a great crew, and we are going to go get out there, and we are going to take care of business and make you guys proud. And you guys, City of Clear Lake residents, we're going to be doing this for all of you guys as well.
Thank you, Mike.
We're going to take a quick couple of minute break, and we'll be back for item 16.
You're welcome.
Thank you. That wasn't careful, Kennedy. You guys have been here since what? Been here since 2? Well, you're at 5.5 hours right now, guys.
In between.
I'm at 3.5 hours. I'm already burned out, so. I would say I have a 20%. But sometimes. Right now we're going through.
Trade you this for a thumb. I'm driving.
No, it's just that we're so slow. We're slower than we ever been. I think it is weather related, general weather related. I think we have a very mild winter. The coldest I've ever got is in our winter, maybe 40s. Right? That's not cold. So then what happened was you get a lot of people competing for the same work, right? So I saw more out-of-town companies in Lake County than I've ever seen before. A whole bunch of out-of-town companies. And it's frustrating. Let me tell you, the most frustrating part. We are a community that thrives and lives off of donations. the only people that donate to anything are local businesses. But ironically, no joke about this, the same person that'll come to you for a donation will use an advertisement. They don't. They don't. So you shoot yourself in the foot. Every time you use my competitor that is not benefiting you in other ways than just that one situation, and in most cases, it's more expensive to use a competitor's stuff because we're cheaper and they help it all down.
Competitors like San Jose.
A lot of San Jose not as much. It's a long time.
I keep drinking.
I would say the reason why is because they lost a huge number of their residents. And I think that impacted their businesses, especially in the area of the You probably have multiple HVAC companies in this area, so they're looking at the dollars coming up here, and it gets cold here. So down there, the cold of winter is 45 degrees. Where up here, it gets down to 20. It's rare, but it gets down to 20. So they have a little more of a demand service up here. So I think that they're taking advantage of that. I've seen more advertising on the internet for this area than I've ever seen before. So I've seen a lot of stuff this year that I haven't seen in the past. And that leads me to believe that that's probably happening.
You guys like some cake? Oh, sure. It's good cake?
We had one gentleman put in his notice.
That's why I stay the size I am.
He was potentially going to be. Yeah, we have. I mean, in our industry is kind of unique in that it's not just what you're not just going out to fix the problem. You're actually going out to diagnose the problem with the phone and find solutions to the problem. So if they come to your house and pull your blowers out, you don't just go and fix the blower. You see what else is going on with the house. There may be a cold bedroom. There may be a filtration issue. The duct might be dirty. There might be an old system. It needs a quote. But there's a whole bunch of things that you could be doing too. But we have some people that are focused on just doing the job and that's it. So they go out, they replace the blower motor, and they're done. That's it. They don't do relationship with the customer. We have a whole plethora of stuff to offer. Absolutely. In fact, most of the larger buildings in this area are ours, like the malls, strip malls. Like your guys have two commercial units on your property. It'd be like $200 a quarter, and that provides us coming twice a year to do maintenance, and we do all the filtration. We provide you all your filters. So you don't have to buy anything, do anything. We bring everything to everything. You don't actually come on site.
We asked the city manager about this, Brian, to see if we really can participate in this discussion. Because we don't benefit anyone.
You don't benefit. You're not financially benefiting.
No.
I used to take myself out of things like the use of
I remember you.
because it was just more of a controversial thing, and I just felt like, for whatever reason, some people thought I got paid from there. I said, no, I put money into it, and I drained my savings account through that. No, I never got paid from it. But I always sure did stuff like that. Sometimes with those seniors, I just do. Depends on what it is. Stuff like this that's really more community oriented. Yeah, I wouldn't do it.
Okay, let's bring it back together.
Hammer that hammer.
Scared me.
I learned that from Judge Judy. Oh no, she used the pen. We'll reconvene at 7:49. And next item, agenda item 16 is provide direction to staff to create a policy for the future use of the shower trailer located at the community center once it is donated to the city. Mr. Folsom.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the Lake Area Rotary Club Association has acquired a shower trailer that they intend to donate to the city of Clearlake once they've completed the setup and installation, and which includes tapping into the main sewer line. There's been some discussion about potentially using the showers for homeless showers, and we wanted to kind of get ahead of the discussion and get some policy direction from the council as to what uses for the shower trailers the council is envisioning. And if there are uses other than for emergency shelter purposes, that you give us some parameters under which to do that.
Okay. Any initial comments from the council?
No.
Or let's go to public first. Any public comment? Mr. Dean? Seemed I saw you at 6:30 this morning.
If you'd been with me yesterday, you'd seen me 4 times. My name's Michael Dean. I'm president of Lower Lake Community Action Group and a member of the Clearlake Rotary. I've been involved with the evacuation center project since its inception, and I am here to comment on the portable shower trailers at the community center. The monies that were raised through grants and donations for the shower trailer were given with the assumption that the trailer was to be used for disasters and only moved around within the county during and for disasters. We are in the process of finishing up the utility hookups for the trailer, and upon completion, we will be turning the generator, transfer switch, and shower facilities over to the city. There has been a lot of conversation regarding the use of the shower trailer for homeless. This is definitely a worthwhile program, but not part of the initial intent. This facility should not be moved around the county for this program. Should the city agree to allow usage, hopefully it is done more than once a week and only at the community center in Clearlake. And there must be a strong memorandum of understanding drawn up between the city and the other participating agencies. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dean. Any further? Mr. Sabati.
I'm going to mimic some of the same sentiments from Mr. Dean. I was here in this room when we spoke with Senator McGuire, and Tipping Point was brought up to help fund this, to make sure that we had what we needed to make this our community center, an evacuation center. I'm worried about what happens if anytime the trailer will be moved, there's the potential of an incident of wear and tear, of something where all of a sudden it's no longer working as it's supposed to function. What happens to our evacuation center? Are we no longer an evacuation center at this point because we don't have showers at the facility? I understand the need to try to offer some other kind of respite to our homeless where they can take a shower. I know I've been working with Woodland Community College to try and get something because we have homeless students. And unfortunately, if you don't have the ability to take a shower, then that creates a situation in our classrooms. I understand where we're going with this, but I know that also that there are showers that are available in our community, and maybe we can try and work with those who have showers. And one of them is our building at the youth center. Is that a possibility to try to use that? I really think that since the purpose of Tipping Point donating towards this cause was for the evacuation center, and the evacuation center requiring showers in order to be an official evacuation center, that we need to be careful in how else this is used to ensure that we can take care of our residents rather than continuously having to send them to Twin Pine Casino or other places. If we can take care of our own here, I think we should make sure that that is what we can do and try to maintain that. Thank you.
Any further comment?
I'm waiting to go last.
Mr.
Looks like
Purdock.
you're it. Well, you're up.
No redos here. No redos here.
Honorable Mayor and council members, I had no intention of speaking for this item tonight, but I got a last-minute email from Pastor Shannon, who did intend to be here, and unfortunately she's not feeling well, so we hope she will start feeling better, and she unfortunately asked me to cover for her. So if I can, I'd like to offer some clarity. First, a lot of folks, and I've heard some rumors in the community that this was an Adventist Health initiative to try to use the community shower trailer that had been purchased for the sole purpose of the emergency shelter, which I absolutely support, and as a Clear Lake Rotary member, I'm proud to have been a part of that. And that is not the case. Actually, Adventist Health held their own fundraiser, a golf tournament last year, and we raised just over, right around $50,000, and we're currently in the process of purchasing a shower trailer that we will be towing through a collaborative of the community Continuum of Care, the COC for Lake County, around to different locations throughout the county that's currently being discussed and set up. So Adventist Health would be offering that community shower trailer. There was never any discussion that I'm aware of moving the LARCA to soon become the community center shower trailer from the site. The only purpose or the only reason that I was ever made aware of, and I've had conversations with several of you about this, is only when there was an emergency in another portion of the county or an area that it was authorized to be taken to that area for that emergency. It's the only time I've ever heard about it being moved. Otherwise, it was going to be located at the community center on Bower. So with that said, the structure of the Continuum of Care is currently under change. So where we had some leadership issues, not pointing fingers, but several years ago, some money had been allocated in the No Place Like Home project. I think it was about $500,000 that I believe the county lost because nothing had been done with it, and there was it timed out, and that money went back to the state. Seeing that problem, Adventist provided some leadership and took the leadership and became a fiscal agent for the Continuum of Care so we could get that project going and start creating some different housing opportunities for our homeless, and also write some additional grants, which has helped Project Restoration House, and is now helping us with our Hope Center development. So with that said, we're now stepping back from the leadership but keeping our involvement in it because we're very concerned about the health of our community. And I think it goes without saying that cleanliness, good hygiene, does offer help, does offer some health to these folks that are currently homeless. I spoke about community, I spoke about families. I don't need to tell any of you that our county has been impacted by fires over the last several years. Our housing inventory has been diminished significantly, and because of that, rents have gone up. With higher rents, people have been displaced. People who had a set income, they felt that they were okay when they retired, and now rents have gone up and they are finding themselves looking for housing. We've also had people who, simply because they didn't have a few $100 to fix their car, have landed in Lake County and they really couldn't leave. So through monies that we've had donated to Project Restoration, we've actually met with some of these folks, and as simply as giving them, here's a couple $100, get your car fixed, or a ticket, so they could go reunite with family. So what we're asking for, what we're, and nothing about what Mr. Dean said, I'm right in lockstep with what his presentation involved. It does need to be controlled, and it does need to have a strong MOU. We're absolutely in support of this, that the shower trailer may be used once a week, that it would not be moved, but that it would afford our homeless individuals, and I don't believe there would be this lawless mob that come up and want to take a shower that day. But in fact, through the Continuum of Care, the COC, it has created a subcommittee. And that subcommittee right now is called the COC Interfaith Committee. It's made of religious leaders throughout Lake County, and their involvement would be simply to be there, to be a representative, to also enter into a part of this MOU through the COC, to provide leadership, supervision, and they would also make sure that the shower trailer is cleaned and tidied up after each use. I heard some comments as this item was being bantered about before the city council meeting started, that, well, what if these shower valves and some of the infrastructure, it's not an industrial use, it's not a military grade shower structure. So if something was to be broken, I would simply ask that if that were the case, that maybe some time frames would be set, that the repairs must be completed within a certain limit of time, and that even upgrades could be provided to a more sturdy or more industrial type valve or whatever may have been damaged. I want to implore you to seriously consider this for our homeless residents, again, because hygiene is one of the first steps in becoming healthy. We've had individuals who we've offered showers for, we've done other programs, and I'll share just a little, what we call a mission moment that Pastor Shannon shared with me. About the only problem they've had when they've offered showers is it just feels so good for them to have a shower that you oftentimes have to bang on the door to get them out because they just really are enjoying the warm water and getting clean, just like any one of us would if we were in that same circumstance. So I ask for your empathy in this, that you consider some of the struggles that a lot of our folks, sometimes not of their own making, are facing right now, and that you can help us to help them, because another part of this, I apologize, I'm going to dissect a little bit, Mr. Sabatier. We will also have a table there. We want to interview these folks to see what they need. If there are services, and we'll have social workers that'll be interacting with our interfaith group, if we can get them to help us to answer some questions, to see what they need, maybe we can get them on that pathway back into housing. I'm very proud to report to you that since we opened Restoration House, we have housed 37 people that were formerly on the street. Most of those had serious or significant medical issues, and they are in their own housing units now. And in one case, she was actually able to have enough funding stream that she bought her own home. So some real positive things coming out. Some of these folks, again, are struggling with mental health issues. It's not their fault if they had these issues, a parent died, now they find themselves homeless because they don't have the mental capability of maintaining housing. So it's across the gamut of why people are homeless, and this is just one little piece that we can try to get to restore some of their humanity. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Yes, sure.
You just can't help yourself, can you?
I can't, well, sorry. Cheryl Allman, Clearlake. All of you know, most of you anyway, that I've been both passionate about homeless. I've been working with Cornerstone Villages, or was for almost 4 years. And I'm also very involved with emergency response with PG&E since 1984. So I understand emergencies and how that happens. My concern, and something for you to think about, is thank you, look at providing this, and I encourage that, there also needs to be an assessment of what we need to do to make sure when we do have a disaster, and hopefully that's 10 years from now, but that shower is ready and able to be used again. And we need to be setting whatever you do in an MOU to look at that kind of a process for maintenance and long-term stability of its functionality. So I know in my own home, just like all of you, as we maintain things, things break, you get water leaks, and when you have the kind of volume going through that you may have, and you might look at something like a timer where you time out after 5 minutes like they have in the parks and stuff. That would work well. But the overall maintenance of that is what I'm also concerned of, so that when we do have that disaster, it's ready and operational, not today, not tomorrow, but hopefully 10 years from now, because that's when I'm hoping we have the fires again, not right away. So thank you.
There'll be a volcano next. Anything further from the public?
A flood.
Yeah. Then we'll close the public hearing. We'll just go down the line. Councilman Overton.
Well, Russ said a lot. Thank you, Russ. I sit on the interfaith committee. I am actually working on policies and procedures right now for how it would be run, and it is very strict. One thing I can say is things sitting sometimes is worse than using. I agree it should not be moved. Absolutely would not. We talked about that, and I totally agree with that. Adventist Health would be the one that would be moved, transported around. Well, the COC, the one that you guys are purchasing is going to be a transfer.
The one that Adventist Health is purchasing, not
right.
this one.
Right, no, that's what I said. The one that you guys are purchasing is going to be the one that's going to be mobile around the lake, so I don't see any reason for for this one to be any more anyway. We had talked about it at the beginning, but when they came in and said they were buying one, there's no reason. But believe me, I would really like to have it right there at our center. I mean, I have seniors that come in that would love to have a shower. I have people calling me that, you know, are living in some of these mobile home parks and they just don't have a hot water heater and they can't afford to fix them, and they're more than willing to pay $5 or $10 to take a shower even. They just can't afford to replace their hot water heaters. And unfortunately, when you're living in mobile home parks, you know, there's no low-income help for them. The Habitats for Humanities won't help them. HEAP won't help them, so there's no help for them, so they're kind of without. So those are the kind of things that I'm getting through, you know, the contacts through the senior center. Like I said, I have 5 to 7 seniors that are homeless that need showers and that would really like to be able to go out there and take a shower. So I think it would really benefit us. I think maintenance, I agree we need to figure out how we'll raise money for maintenance. I don't think it would be that much as long as it's like once a week. I agree that would be all I want to use it. But also is you got to look at if it sits there and doesn't get used at all, it actually will end up being worse than it being used. So that's my suggestion, is I'd like to see it used once a week. And I can send over the policy that I've already put together for it. You'll see that it is pretty strict. So that's it.
I think we do need to remember that we were able to do this because of donations from a lot of different people, a lot of different organizations, and for the sole purpose to create an evacuation center. Now, I do agree that we need help for homeless people to take showers, but I think our main, we have to think about it, why people donated the money to make this a reality. It was to create an evacuation center at the community center. That was the first purpose. If it can be used someplace for some other purposes, I think it really has to be restricted, because we have to remember why people gave money for this goal.
Phil?
So, yeah, I don't, I love the idea of the showers being there for the fulfillment of the evacuation center, and obviously there's no reason for it to be mobilized, because the entire intent is for us to have an evacuation center, and if an event took place anywhere around the lake, then obviously they would come here to our evacuation center. As far as the utilization by the homeless population for the purpose of showers, I see that being potentially plagued with a lot of issues, and I strongly disagree with that. I would say, though, that there is an opportunity for us as a city to look into some other options for providing a shower facility for not just the homeless population, but maybe a public shower facility, quarter showers or something of that sort. That would be a little more of a everybody use type of a scenario. This was earmarked for a specific situation. I would disagree with Councilwoman Overton about the facility falling apart due to lack of use. I would say that I do know people that own showers for purposes of evacuations and emergency response, and they sit for months at a time until an evacuation, and then they deploy. And they're not in poor condition. They're designed for that purpose. But I think that you would be inundated with a lot of potential issues. One of those issues being that the facility would have to be very well sterilized on a regular basis, because you wouldn't want to be the source of a spread of disease or issue regarding that. You'll have people coming in from all walks of life, stepping in without any protection onto the floors, that sort of thing, and there is a level of decontamination that has to take place on a very regular basis to keep any kind of a spread of contagion from happening. So there's a lot of other different aspects to think about here. One of the other thoughts is that if I remember correctly, there's stairs that go up into the facility. Is that the case? It's not flat level on the ground, right? It's stairs going up into it.
No, the shower unit actually sits down on the frame, and those stairs
will be, the first step will probably be about that far off the ground.
So it's minimal.
Yeah, the ADA at the back, of course, is a ramp.
Okay. So yeah, my other concern would be, safety of people regularly accessing this, not just for an emergency scenario. It is a trailer. It's not designed, it's not set up and designed to be a everyday use type of a thing. It's more of an emergency scenario thing. So I don't know. I love the fact that we have it now. I love that it's a resource for people during an emergency evacuation scenario, and I think that we do have potentially some topic here as far as providing a facility for other people to access the shower that may not have one in their home or may not have the hot water, that sort of thing. But, this had an earmarked purpose, and it not only did it have an earmarked purpose, but it had it has the potential to be a cost. I don't know what source of heating it is for the water, but you're going to be heating a lot of water. You're going to be keeping up with maintenance and the cleaning aspect, and there are dollars involved in every bit of that. So that has to be factored into the thing too. So just as a thought. And then to touch on the thing that Bruno talked about, the youth center already allows for the use of their showers for any student. So I'm sure that would extend to somebody that's attending college as well. They're very, very accepting, and they're actually encouraging for students to utilize their facilities. And I think that's fantastic, because I know when you're a student in school, the last thing you want to do is show up to school and have a smell, because people are going to make comments about you and mistreat you. So anything we can do to help the youth not have to experience that would be fantastic, and the youth center already provides that. So if we were to find another solution for the adults, that would be great, and I'd be more than willing to explore different solutions and concepts, and we may be able to incorporate something into one of our park designs, maybe something we can just add into it for a quarter shower facility. A lot of places have that, especially places that are common camping locations, and we are. This is a recreational area, so it may not be a bad idea for people to come here while recreating. They have a place to use a shower. So just a lot of thoughts there.
A lot of good comments, both from the public and from my fellow council members. To give a little perspective, Mike Dean and I were probably the ones that kicked this off 4 years ago after the Valley fires. Lower Lake Community Action Group, of which I'm on their board as well, actually bought the transfer switch, and the idea initially was just to put a generator in. Once we started exploring what else was needed to qualify for Red Cross, the showers came up, and we initially looked in the community center to see if we could, if the bathrooms could be modified and showers added, and we quickly decided that would not work. At which point we turned to exploring the shower trailers. I was in that meeting with Senator McGuire, at which time we were, I think, asking for some money left over from one of the fires. I've had so many, it eludes me which one it was now. And there wasn't any, but Senator McGuire said, well, I might be able to find a source for you. He introduced Tipping Point, asked that I complete an application for a grant, which I did, and we were fortunate enough to get the $50,000 grant for it. The trailer cost $62,000, sitting where it is right now. We have some things to do to complete that. The entire project, which by the way also includes the generator, includes the shower trailers, and the slabs, which we've decided we need to put them on, plus a sewer connection, and buildings to cover the shower trailer to protect it from the elements, and to add a storage building. We'll complete the project. We'll probably be into it around $180,000, $185,000. All of that money came from grants and/or donations from organizations and people. LARCA was basically they entered the 501c3 that the money was run through, because we needed a 501c3, and we need to, our whole idea is to complete it and then hand it over to the city
after it's all completed, and we still intend to do it that way. The fact that it was donated, as Mike pointed out, the grants and the donations were specifically for an emergency evacuation shelter. The idea of the homeless use came up, I think, in one of our Hope Center Launch Committee meetings, if I recall, and I think it's a good one. It's one that I have empathy for, and I'm generally in agreement for that, with the caveat that there be a clear MOU in place, that it be limited, that the other entity provides that oversight, certainly guarantees the maintenance of the trailer while it's in their use, provides the towels, the soap, all the incidentals, thank you, that go with that. And that an MOU be very well written. It be between the City of Clearlake. It was suggested that LARCA be involved or be included in that MOU. I'm completely and totally against that. At the point that it's completed, we will turn it over. We will gift it to the city, and then we are out of the picture on that. So this MOU has got to be between the City of Clear Lake, if we choose to do it, between the City of Clear Lake and whatever entity it is that will be operating the shower trailer. And everything will, as you say, that for clarity, everything will be spelled out as to what each entity is responsible for. Under those circumstances, I tend to be in favor of it. I think I agree with you. I think if a person is able to take a shower and feel clean, he's gonna or she is gonna feel better about himself or herself. Perhaps might be his or her first step up and out of the situation they're in. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Some excellent comments. Mr. Sabatier, your idea about the youth center being used is excellent. And go off of that, Councilman Harris brought up that maybe the city should look into providing showers for tourists, for fishermen, for people who swim out there at Austin Beach. You know, years ago when I used to go steelhead fishing up on the Klamath, there was a spot where you could stop and there was an outdoor shower you had privacy. It was a little cold in December, I'll tell you. But they have those. I take that as a responsibility of ours as a community to provide that to people, but not necessarily with this trailer. I agree that this trailer was purchased for a specific purpose, and I think we should stick to that. As far as it not being used, and I can understand, I know it's made for emergency purposes only, but you know, Public Works could go once a month and run the toilets, run the water, run the showers, make sure the water heater recycles a bit. But to have people coming in there with a variety of who knows what, diseases, whatever, and then to provide them with towels, soap, shampoo, who's going to clean the towels, who's going to clean the area after, who's going to unplug. I guarantee you, right here, I guarantee you, on a regular basis, there's going to be toilets plugged up. There's going to be, you're going to need Roto-Rooter out there, some outfit to clean it up. That's just the nature of the beast. I think it was purchased for one purpose. We're putting a slab out there. The trailer's going to go on that slab. I don't know if it's set to where you can pull the wheels up off the ground for a period of time. Many trailers are.
Put that photo back up if you would, please.
The tires themselves don't come off the ground now.
Yeah. Alan?
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Well, so much for our IT guy.
Well, he thought he was done.
I was searching for coin-operated shower units.
Which is another whole nightmare.
If you look at it, as you pointed out, those steps are quite a ways off the ground. Those tires, all three axles on each side have got a hydraulic lift, which you lift them all the way up, so you'll actually raise the tire up further, and then there's 2 pins on either side that you pull out, and then there's also a hydraulic lift on the front end. And you, after that, those pins are pulled out, you drop the whole thing down, and it'll rest on the frame underneath.
That's what I was looking
And then
for.
those tires are actually lifted up off of the ground.
That's what I was looking for, so you're not leaving the tires out there
No,
to...
and further, the whole thing, the idea again, is to pour a slab. We got a site on basically just to the west, back from where it is now on the other side of the sidewalk. And it'll be sitting on that slab, and there'll be a building, basically a two-sided building. The front end will be left open, and this side will be left open. The other side will have a wall, and the back side will have a wall. The other side is the west facing, so the afternoon sun. So this will protect the building from that, and obviously protect it from the elements from above. To answer your question while I'm at it, the heat in it and the heat for the water is provided by propane tanks that come with it that sit on the front. It plugs in. There's 3 outlets on it, 320 amp, 120 outlets that plug into extension cords, which over to the back side of it, we have the electricity, the wires are there. To finish it out, we're going to put a closable panel that can be locked and will just be open when in emergency use. It'll provide the plugs for this trailer. It will also provide plugs for any other emergency vehicles that are being used, trailers or what have you. So it will be set up, and I agree with you completely. The first and primary use of this trailer, and it always has to be ready for it, is for emergencies. Hope we never have one, but we're, eight major fires and 2 floods so far in the last 4 years since we started this project. So I agree, anything we do is going to have, even if we let anyone else use it for shower trailers, there has to be absolute guarantees that they will be left in a clean condition. Now, if you've talked about using the youth center or putting in public showers, we'll have the same situation with the uncleanliness that you're talking about with those. As far as the providing of towels and soap, the city should not have to do that. As far as for emergency uses, Red Cross will be, the building we're going to put in will be pre-supplied. We spoke with the Red Cross gentleman a couple weeks ago. We'll be pre-supplied with all of those elements. And the idea of it being there is that if we have an emergency, that facility will open immediately and won't want for anything. So yes, that trailer is that's got to be the one guarantee, is it's got to be ready to go if and when we need it.
Joyce?
Okay, so I want to clarify a few things. One, when the youth center was built, it was definitely built on the concept of the reason why we had the showers and the hookups for the wash machine and dryers was for the youth, including the college students, to be able to use that facility. That was actually an agreement in the grant. So they can't actually turn down the students at the college. At some point in time during the week, they must offer, if it's needed, they must offer. Students would just come in and ask me, and of course I would just let them use it. So that's number one. For that reason, that's the reason why it was put in there, and that's the reason why we got the grant. You can use the facilities for other purposes as long as they're available for the reason why you got the grant. So as long as the shower unit is ready, which of course anytime it's used is going to have to be overseen, as Mr. Purdock has stated. How the whole scenario is to go is to have services there to see if they need other services while they're taking their showers, to get them help, to get them off of being homeless. That's the whole purpose. We don't want to be using this facility just for them to come and take a shower and never get any help. Hopefully they'll see and feel better about themselves, and we can hook them up with all the different facilities that are able to help them. And of course, after every single person, it would the showers have to be sterilized. That's just a given. They have to be. Nobody would want to take the responsibility of not doing that. That is also all in the procedures, the policies and procedures that I wrote up for the showers for Adventist Health, actually, that they're buying. But it could be used for this one too. So you can, as long as it's available when if there's an emergency, you can use it for other things. It doesn't have to just be emergencies. It is the sole purpose, but you can use it for other things. And there's also a misconception that the senior center was not an evacuation center. That's not true. It has always been designated through the Red Cross as an evacuation center. Just the showers and the generator make it true for us, but that's, it always has been an evacuation center, designated one. So I just don't want misinformation getting out there on that too. And I just got that clarified by the way, just the other day, just to make sure when we talked to David, he had said that, and when he called the other day about maybe opening up, I just wanted to clarify, and he said we have always, through them, have been designated as an evacuation center. So, but as long as it's ready for, if we have an evacuation, you can use it for other purposes. That's the whole thing here. So I think it should be used.
I would hate for the public to think that we've gotten donations of over $150,000 for something that we didn't need. His clarification was fine, except for shower trailers could be brought in when they're available. Right. A generator could be brought in if and when it's available. What this gives us is it's immediately available.
So can I respond to that?
So it's not, Claire, the guy made that statement. I was there when he said it with you. But the point is that it wasn't immediately available, and they cannot guarantee they'll be immediately available. So that is why we have that shower trailer. That's why we spent the money we spent on it, and that's why we spent the money we spent on the generator, so that we have an immediately available emergency evacuation shelter.
Right. And if anybody was at the center during the evacuation, they will know the problems that we had because we didn't have showers, because they didn't have showers to bring to us. So I agree. We absolutely needed them for our evacuation because most of the time we are the last on the list to get the services. And I actually kind of had to do a little threat to even get a small unit there just to be able to get the people to take showers. So you're right. We definitely needed them.
And we've already used the generator.
Oh, absolutely. Kicks on really good, too.
Okay, one last comment for me.
Sure.
Remember who gave the money and for what purpose those people gave the money to us, to LARCA. It was specifically for an evacuation center. It was not for showers for homeless people. That was not the intention. That was not the reason people gave $150,000 to LARCA to do this project.
You can always call them and ask them.
Anything
Yeah,
further?
there are literally hundreds of donors that gave us money. So.
However, just to soften that a little bit, and talking to some of those same donors, they didn't have any specific objections to its being used for this purpose as long as it was immediately available for emergency services.
Which I agree.
Okay.
Well, so I need to get some clear direction one way or another as to.
Okay.
I guess it says.
You want to go one by one?
Yeah.
I personally do not recommend using it for the homeless showering.
No, I do.
I do too, but under strict MOU, and we do want to have a plaque on it that says Larka donated this to us with the help of PG&E and Tipping Point and hundreds of individual donors.
And Lower Lake Community Action Group.
Yes, of course.
I also am in favor of it under the strict MOU guidelines.
Well, I personally think more work would need to be done to determine who is going to be responsible for what. And I don't think it's something that we can necessarily decide tonight, unless somebody comes up with a draft MOU for us to review. I think there are some critical questions, health-wise, the reason for the donation, maintenance of it, oversight is a big thing. It may be something everybody's on board with for the next 2 or 3 months, but after that, it's gonna drift off. So, I don't know that we have enough information to decide right now until we would see an MOU.
Well, I'm certainly not asking you to make any commitments at this point. I just need direction whether to start negotiations for an MOU or not.
I personally think there is other options for the homeless to shower that the city may explore, not just the youth center, but other options that we should explore. Definitely not moved around the county. Once it's there, it's there. That's going to be a permanent fixture in my mind.
I would agree with that.
I think there are other options as far as providing that service to the homeless that the city has an obligation to come up with. So I would say no.
I'd say that the last paragraph on this first page says staff recommends that if the homeless shower use is allowed, that there be an MOU with an organization who will be responsible for monitoring, cleaning, replacement supplies, providing insurance, and following whatever other policy guidelines the council would like to establish. And I think that's all we're looking for tonight, right? So we're not saying yes tonight. We're saying we'll consider if the MOU can be.
I would consider an MOU. And I would like to make one other recommendation based off of your description, Councilman Kramer. Those wheels lift up.
Take them off.
Yes, and the propane tanks on the front. Basically, anything that can be taken off of it needs to be taken off of it, or it's going to be taken off without our help.
That's why the storage building will be.
Right. Okay.
Just that.
I'm looking at it going, oh, that's going to be stripped in no time. So we just kind of.
The propane tanks are small enough to pull in and put inside too.
Yeah, it's just a regular.
Yeah, because we talked about that when we were looking at it.
The tanks are inside and locked down.
So I guess the direction is to come up with an MOU and bring it back to us.
Okay.
Or add to it if there are other possibilities to have some kind of public shower facility.
And I would ask direction from Mr. Purdock as to who the city should be talking to about that MOU.
The entity is the Continuum of Care, which is currently being managed by Lake County Behavioral Health. Todd Metcalf is the department head.
So that's who we should talk to?
Yes.
Yeah, them and that.
Director of the Continuum of Care.
Right. And his nice new position you guys handed him.
Anything further? Okay, Mr. Folsom.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things. In the last couple of weeks, I attended the Clearlake Chamber of Commerce board meeting. Also attended, along with Assistant City Manager Alan Flora, Lake County Chamber of Commerce. They actually had their chamber board meeting here at City Hall in Clearlake. They're going to be moving that around various areas in the county, but I was very pleased to have them here in Clearlake. I think that's probably one of the first times they've done that in quite a while. I attended a Tourism Improvement District Board meeting. That is continuing to move forward. We're just starting now to get some revenues in, but you'll be hearing a lot more about that going into the future. Staff and I had a meeting with the county regarding the Lake Transit Authority and their transit hub. We're moving forward on that. The county is looking more favorably upon that site. on Dam Road Extension for doing the transit hub and working with them a little bit more for the sale. Want to remind you that on March 21st, we do have a special meeting at the community center to have a meeting with Adventist Health and hopefully be getting a very nice present from them. I gave a presentation at the Judges Breakfast last week. Thanks to everybody who did come out for that. And finally, if you enjoyed the food at the Seafood Boil, I was one of the cooks. So that concludes my report.
When is the special meeting?
It's at 5 o'clock on March 21st.
And our catering service will be providing hors d'oeuvres. I wanted Mr. Purdock to hear that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was putting it in his phone.
All right.
I attended earlier today, long day today, starting at 2 o'clock, with the Cannabis Ad Hoc Committee meeting, where we will make some recommendations to change some ordinances to allow some changes in the ordinance for non-volatile or volatile manufacturing, and leave it all up to the fire department. Also, we made a recommendation to allow the existing dispensaries to become a micro business, which basically means that they can stack businesses, cannabis-related businesses under one license.
And that'll be going to the Planning Commission as well as the City Council.
And that's it for my report.
All right, so speaking of the COC, we had an interfaith committee meeting, and we're basically, our job right now is just the showers. So our thought for the interfaith was that the different churches would have it a week that they ran the center, took care of it, closed, and of course we would be providing all the towels and all of that stuff. That's not something we would ever expect any city to provide, by the way, because we're talking about their showers and this one if we were to use it. We have our contracts for our garden. Our community garden is coming up. We just had our first meeting on Monday, and we're having another one on Monday the 11th. So anybody that wants to use the community garden, please come. It's only $20 for a plot. We're just keeping it the same price, and that just helps buy the tools and supplies that are needed for the garden. Any repairs that need to be fixed on the grounds. We do have a little shed there now, so a little shed for the community to be able to put their supplies in, and we'll have a combination lock on it for them to be able to get their stuff out of there. I went to the margarita night that the senior center put on. It was really great. It was our first kind of just doing a small little one, and it was met very well by the community, so we'd like to maybe start talking to the city about doing something like that for us. And then I went to the Rotary, and yes, it was awesome. It was, I think, the first time I was actually be able to sit and actually just eat dinner and enjoy. I don't think I've ever done that before. In fact, I told Bruno when I was walking in, if I want to get up, pull me down and tell me don't do that. So it was very enjoyable. I really liked it. I might have to go again. So yes, the cook was wonderful, give you credit, pat you on the back. And that's it. That's my report.
Maybe next time you have a margarita night, we can bring our city manager back from his new position with Folsom and his mariachis.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Next year, we'd like to do this on a yearly basis. It was met so well.
So I attended the seafood boil as well. I was actually thinking that the bartender did a really exceptional job. But
awesome, absolutely awesome.
The Folsom cook guy was a little shady looking. So most of us didn't know who it was at first. I had people come to me and go, "Is that the city manager?" He's out of character today. But yeah, everything turned out really well. It was really well attended. I was pretty proud to be part of that thing. So I can't say enough how much I appreciate everybody who attended my ribbon cutting of our new corporate office. Thank you all so much for coming down there. It was really nice to see everybody who attended that. And I was out of town, and I appreciate you guys so much for covering for me while I was out of town. My wife and I were celebrating 25 years together, so we went down to Mexico, and I got violently ill.
Oh,
So
no.
I guess I was punished. I should have stayed home. It was just better to stay home. But anyways, I do appreciate you guys being there for me, so we could go down and celebrate. That's a big mark, 25 years. I can't believe she's put up with me this long, to be honest, but she can't either. So, thank you.
We need to give her a ribbon.
Yeah. I was thinking about making it. No, I won't.
Yeah. Leave me alone.
She is a strong woman. That's what I love about her.
Yes, I've been to at least 2, maybe 3 Hope Center meetings in the last 2 weeks, including a couple of budget committee meetings. There's, I guess, some cost overruns that we're going to have to address, but I think with some design changes that will hopefully take care of those. Also on the Cannabis Ad Hoc Committee meeting this afternoon. I don't need to go into any detail. I think you pretty well covered it. The emergency evacuation shelter project, I know we've beat it to death already, but just to give you an update on where we're at on it, as I said, we're to the point now, and as weather permits, we'll be able to make the pad, and hopefully I think that our city staff will at least make the dirt pad for us, and then we will take care of pouring the concrete. And then again, putting the building up. I've gotten some bids, some estimates of costs from a local metal building supplier that appear to be actually quite reasonable. I think we have to add a few things, especially in the building. We'll have to insulate it, which isn't part of the building, but that shouldn't be a great deal of money. My fellow LARCA member and I think feel that we can find enough funds to complete the project. We just need the weather now to cooperate with us and the special districts to cooperate with us. I won't go any further on that part. Seafood boil. I spent 3 years teaching you how to cut the shells on the lobster tail. Now, you need to come back next year. Lose that. I don't want you to lose that special skill that you've gained.
I'm not sure I picked it up very well.
But I do thank you for a building not being there now that has been out at the senior center. So I won't be sending you any more texts on that. We did have a great seafood boil, and since I'm the treasurer, I'm still trying to figure out exactly how much we made, but I think we did okay on it. So that's my report.
I don't have anything. I've been under the weather for the past couple of weeks. I'm just now starting to come out of the shadows. I want to thank Vice Mayor for taking over for me at the last meeting. I came in for the one vote and then went home and went to bed. So that's all I have. Anything else? Thank you all. Thank you for hanging in there, one and all. Meeting adjourned.
Mayor, actually, we're not going to adjourn. We're going to recess into closed session.
Yeah, we're going to close session.
Thanks.